The night before the world's eyes would be on the summit, Ibrahim Traoré sat quietly in his small hotel room in Washington, D.C. The city lights flickered outside like a million tiny stars, but inside his heart, there was a storm. He wasn't just preparing to speak at another international event. This time, what he held in his hands could change everything. A video, raw, honest, and undeniable, showing the harsh realities faced by millions in Africa and America. It exposed broken promises, forgotten people, and the silent suffering that no politician dared to speak about. Ibrahim's voice trembled as he whispered to himself, "This is for those who have no voice, for those who have been ignored for too long." He thought of children without clean water, families torn apart by injustice, and the quiet heroes who fought every day just to survive. He thought of his own country, Burkina Faso, struggling against problems no one outside Africa seemed to care about. And yet, tonight would be different. Tonight, the truth would be heard. The grand hall buzzed with energy. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and politicians from around the world took their seats. Among them was California's Governor Gavin Newsom, dressed sharply, but with a tired look in his eyes. He had heard rumors of Ibrahim's video. Some dismissed it as political drama, others as a desperate plea for attention. But no one was ready for what was about to happen. Ibrahim stepped onto the stage, calm but firm. The room grew silent. He didn't begin with speeches or politics. Instead, the large screen behind him flickered to life. Images appeared. Children drinking dirty water, communities ravaged by drought, streets filled with people struggling to find hope. Then, the screen shifted. It showed American neighborhoods battling poverty, cities divided by inequality, and people ignored by their leaders. The audience was stunned. Some gasped. Others looked away, unable to face the harsh reality. Ibrahim's voice echoed clearly. "This is not a story of a distant land or forgotten people. This is our shared world, and it's breaking." For a long moment, no one spoke. The usual chatter of politicians, the rustling of papers, even the clicking of cameras, all stopped. Governor Newsom's face was pale. The video had pierced through every carefully constructed narrative. He thought of his own state, California, where wildfires, homelessness, and inequality were worsening year after year. He knew the truth in Ibrahim's words, but admitting it publicly would shake his entire political career. But something inside him stirred. Ibrahim's message wasn't about blame. It was about responsibility, unity, and hope. Slowly, Newsom rose from his seat. The cameras zoomed in. "I have heard you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "And I have been wrong." A hush fell over the room. No one expected this. The first step toward something greater had begun. Governor Newsom stood before the cameras, his hands trembling slightly. This was more than a speech. It was a confession. "I have spent too long avoiding the difficult truths," he said, eyes fixed on the crowd. "Today I stand here humbled. The video shown by President Traoré opened my eyes to realities I could no longer ignore. He spoke about the fires ravaging his state, the families losing homes, the children without enough to eat. But more than that, he spoke about the walls we build. Walls between nations, between people, between hearts. "We must stop pretending we are separate," Newsom said. "What happens in Burkina Faso touches us all, and what happens here in California echoes in every corner of the world." As the words left his mouth, a wave of silence and disbelief swept the hall. Few had ever heard such honesty from a leader on a stage like this. Ibrahim watched quietly from the side, the weight of history pressing down, but a flicker of hope rising in his chest. Within minutes, the summit's dramatic moment exploded on social media. Hashtags like "Truth from Burkina" and "Newsom Apology" trended worldwide. People shared clips of the video, and Newsom's heartfelt words. Across America, families gathered around their TVs, some crying openly. Many posted stories of their own struggles, of loss, hope, and the desperate need for change. In Burkina Faso, people watched with pride. Their leader had spoken truth to power on the biggest stage in the world. Ibrahim's courage was a beacon, shining through decades of silence. But along with support came harsh criticism. Some accused Newsom of weakness. Others called Ibrahim's message too harsh. The debates were fierce and emotional. Yet something new was stirring, a collective desire for something better. After the summit, Ibrahim and Newsom met privately. Newsom looked exhausted but determined. "You showed me a side of leadership I never knew I lacked," he said quietly. "It's going to be hard. People will resist." Ibrahim nodded. "Change is never easy, but honesty is the first step. We must hold ourselves accountable before asking others to." They spoke long into the night about plans to unite communities, to share resources, and to listen to those forgotten by history. It was a fragile alliance, born not from politics but from shared humanity. As dawn broke over Washington, both men understood this moment was the start of a new chapter, not just for their countries, but for the world. Back in California, Newsom's apology and the summit video became the talk of every home. Mothers held their children close, wiping tears as they watched the images of children in Burkina Faso. So different, yet so similar to their own. In small towns and big cities, people debated loudly in kitchens, cafes, and on social media. Some were angry at the government for ignoring these truths for so long. Others felt a deep ache of guilt and hope intertwined. Newsom's courage inspired many, but also made him vulnerable. Late at night, he received calls from angry voices, threats even. But more than the threats, there were letters. Stories from people touched by the video. Stories of hardship, of families who never felt seen before. And Newsom read every one. He knew he had opened a door that could never close again. While the world was in uproar, Ibrahim sat down to write a letter to the people of California. He wrote in simple words from his heart, "Dear brothers and sisters, I do not write as a stranger. I write as someone who believes we share a future. Your struggles are not distant. They echo mine. We are connected by the dreams of our children, by the pain of loss, and by the hope for a better tomorrow. Let this moment be more than a video or an apology. Let it be a promise that together we will listen, learn, and act. We cannot wait. The time to heal is now." The letter went viral, shared by millions, deepening the bond between two distant worlds. As days passed, Ibrahim felt the immense weight of history on his shoulders. He remembered the sacrifices of those before him, leaders who had fought for freedom, justice, and dignity. And he thought about the children who would inherit this moment. The summit had shown the world a broken system, but also a chance for repair. Ibrahim prayed silently, asking for strength to carry the hopes of so many. He knew his journey was only beginning. Outside his window, the sun rose on a new day, bright, fragile, and full of promise. Following the summit, Newsom announced a bold new initiative in California, a program to provide clean water, better housing, and education support for underserved communities. "It's time we practice what we preach," he said on live television. "Our state will not just watch, it will act." Ibrahim watched the news from his office in Ouagadougou, a faint smile on his lips. Change was slow, but these first steps mattered. Across the ocean, communities began to share stories of hope, of healing, of coming together. But the path ahead was still steep. Many challenges remained hidden beneath headlines and promises. Some days, Ibrahim felt doubt creeping in. What if the world forgot again? What if powerful voices drowned out the truth? But every letter from a mother who found clean water, every message from a young student inspired by the summit reminded him why he could not give up. He called Newsom. "We have to keep the momentum," Ibrahim urged. "This is bigger than politics. It's about humanity." Newsom agreed. They planned town halls, cultural exchanges, and education campaigns to build bridges, brick by brick. One evening, Ibrahim received a drawing from a 9-year-old girl named Amara in California. It showed 2 children, one African, one American, holding hands beneath a bright sun. She had written, "We are one world, we are friends." Ibrahim's eyes welled with tears. In that simple drawing, he saw the future. He wrote back to Amara, "Your promise gives me strength. Together, we will make sure no child feels alone." Not everyone welcomed the changes. Some politicians called Newsom's apology a weakness. Media outlets questioned Ibrahim's motives, painting him as too idealistic. The pressure mounted, threats increased, and misinformation spread. Yet, amid the storm, a quiet movement grew stronger. Ordinary people, teachers, workers, students, organized community meetings, volunteered, and shared stories of unity. Newsom and Ibrahim, though miles apart, felt the same fierce determination. They knew the fight for truth and justice was not easy, but they refused to back down. Inspired by Ibrahim and Newsom's courage, leaders from other states and countries began speaking out. Grassroots organizations grew, and new policies emerged to address inequality, climate change, and education gaps. Families once divided by distance and circumstance found common ground. In Burkina Faso, Ibrahim met with young activists eager to build a brighter future. He told them, "Your voice matters. Your courage can change the world." Hope, once fragile, now pulsed stronger than ever. Just when momentum seemed unstoppable, tragedy struck. A devastating flood hit a village in Burkina Faso. Homes were destroyed, families displaced. Ibrahim rushed to the scene, heart heavy. He held the hands of grieving parents and children, tears mingling with the rain. "This is why we fight," he whispered, "to protect those we love, to never forget the cost of silence." The loss sharpened his resolve, fueling his mission to build a world where no one would suffer alone. The flood tragedy moved the world. Newsom and Ibrahim joined a live broadcast, standing side by side, united by grief and hope. "We cannot wait for another disaster," Newsom said, his voice thick with emotion. "This is a call to action for every one of us." Ibrahim added, "We are connected, our futures intertwined. Together we must build bridges, not walls." Millions watched, tears streaming as leaders who once seemed distant now spoke with raw honesty. The world was listening, ready to act or to turn away. Months later, progress bloomed from pain. Communities in California and Burkina Faso began joint projects: water wells, schools, health clinics. Children played together in photos shared online, smiling like old friends. Ibrahim visited California for the first time, welcomed by crowds chanting his name. He spoke simply, "We are one family. Our strength is in our unity." Newsom stood beside him, a genuine smile breaking years of political walls. Together, they promised to never forget this moment, this turning point. On the summit's 1-year anniversary, Ibrahim and Newsom met again. They released a new video, not of pain but of hope. A future where leaders listened and people cared. Ibrahim looked into the camera, voice steady and warm. "This is not the end. It is the beginning of a promise that no voice will be ignored, no child forgotten. We must hold each other accountable with love, courage, and truth." The world watched, hearts full, tears falling freely. A new chapter had begun, one written by all of us, together. Thank you for joining this journey. If Ibrahim's courage moved you, if Newsom's apology touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Your voice matters, and together, we can change the world. Comment your feelings. Don't hold back. Let's start a conversation that heals and inspires.